Hey guys! So I wasn't going to do this at first because there are a lot more experienced people with epoxy countertops out there. But since my first one came out good, I thought I'd do a little tutorial on how I did my epoxy countertops. So here's the kitchen counter that I did. It's probably a little hard to see because the sun's starting to go down a little bit. I just got off work, so it's kind of late, but it's got a little glitter in it. And I did this like silver veining, and since it came out really good, I'm going to go ahead and do it for this part of the countertop, which is going to be a top for the shower and storage area, but when the top is down, it's part of the kitchen counter. So let me show you what you'll need. Okay, so what I used is this super glaze that I got from Home Depot for the smaller counter with the sink cut out. I only used maybe 2/3 of it, and then I was able to use the last third for other applications. But for this, because there's no hole cut in it and it's this piece, plus this little piece that's going to attach the hinge so the top could open and close, I'm going to go ahead and use the whole box, and this is 32 fluid ounces, crystal clear. Gloves, of course. You're going to need 3 measuring cups, one for the part A, one for part B, the hardener, and then you have to pour it into a clean container. Mixing stick. One thing I didn't do last time that I saw in another tutorial was kind of like touch up the edges so that the epoxy will stick better. So I'm going to try that. I got a clean brush here and a trowel to spread it around, and a heat gun to get the bubbles out, and maybe to spread your accent paints around, and then a torch to get the bubbles out also. But if you don't have, I had these previously because I do a lot of crafting, but if you don't have that, I think you can use a blow dryer on a hot setting to get the bubbles out. And what else? Oh, and then the first coat was a interior polyurethane. I don't know if you can see the glitter in it. And for the glitter, I just put a little bit of like makeup glitter instead of buying the expensive stuff that you can use with epoxies, but I just got some makeup glitter to use. I mixed it in with a little bit of the polyurethane and then just spread that on, and that was the first coat. So the first thing I'm going to do is pour the resin, part A, in one container, and then equal parts of the activator, part B, into another container, and then mix them together. So the other thing you want to do is make sure that it's level, because it's self-leveling. And I've already done that. I have these leftover 2x3s that I used to build, and you could use something like paint sticks to help level it in areas. And on this little piece here, this was actually too thick, so I just found it up a folded piece of paper, and it was just enough to level it. So make sure you level it so that when it cures, it'll cure flat. Make sure all the dust is off. So the other reason why I did the glitter with the polyurethane is with the glitter it can sometimes settle in uneven, so you can put the glitter in a thin layer of epoxy instead of polyurethane, and then do a top coat on top of that. But the epoxy is more expensive than the polyurethane, so I use the polyurethane as the first coat. Make sure there's no dust in your cups. design. Okay, I'm going to take my Part A resin and pour it in 1 cup. I'm not sure if I'm going to need this whole thing, but I used almost the whole thing for the sink countertop with the big hole cut in it, so I'm hoping that this will be enough. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm going to take my Part B activator, pour it in another cup, make sure it's the same amount. I'm going to take Part A, pour it into Part B. Scrape it all out. Honestly, the thing I don't like about this is it's very wasteful of plastic because these can't be reused. A little timer. You want to make sure you mix it. This says 3 minutes, but last time I mixed it for 4 minutes. And you just want to mix it until my timer goes off, and then you want to make sure that it's not cloudy when you're done mixing it. And as you're mixing it, make sure you scrape the edges and scrape the bottom. So, sure you don't want to watch me mix it, so see you again in 4 minutes. Okay, it's been 4 minutes. Now we're going to pour it into a clean container. There you go. Don't spill it. I'm going to leave a tiny bit in here. I think that's enough. Yeah. So I'm going to leave a tiny little bit so I could do my little silver paint veins. Oh. And if you want to learn how to do the faux granite countertops, look up for epoxy tutorials for faux granite tops. I'm just doing like an artsy Tinker Fairy themed bus, so I'm just covering it with the glitter coat, and now I'm going to do the polyurethane with just some silver streaks through it. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to start pouring it. My trowel and start moving it around. I used a tooth edge. On this little brush that I just want covered very good last time, so I saw someone else that said do this. Make sure you get a good peach coat. left a little epoxy in this cup. What I'm going to do is take that little scoop full of... Okay, so I'm back. I saw where the camera cut off, so... Just to review, what I did was I just kind of scooped up some epoxy on the stick, and then I just, while it was still dripping, I just sprayed some spray paint on it, and then I don't want to mess up what I've done, so I took the dripping silver spray paint and I just dragged it through to make like some veins. And, you know, just don't keep it straight and do it in different lines. Be kind of artistic with it. It doesn't dry very fast. I see it's kind of thick on this side, so I could just show you over here. Just kind of like pull it through, like that. And it will self-level. Looks like I actually need some more on this side, so let me try that real quick. I already took my gloves off, that sucks. So it's still dripping, and I'm just going to take it and drag it through. Like that. Little vein. And hopefully that doesn't mess it up. I'm going to take the heat gun and hit where I went over it with the paint trails to kind of spread it out a little bit. So I'm just continuing to chug it because it looks like bubbles are continuing to come up to the surface. So just want to make sure I get all those bubbles down. Looks like I need to go back over it with another heat gun. You can kind of see the bubbles right there, but that's what I did. And a little piece, I try to put it together where it's going to be hinged together, so it looks like it's sort of flowed into it a little bit. Hopefully it'll be okay, but so you can see the bubbles there, and if you hit it with the gun, see how it pops out? So I'm just going to watch it for a little bit to see if any more bubbles come to the surface, and if it does, I'll just hit it with the heat gun again. And like I said, blow dryer on hot setting should work, but once I put the trails in, I also used the heat gun to kind of like spread it out a little bit, so it didn't look like I just went through it with a paint stick. I can show you that. You can see how it kind of breaks it up and softens it a bit. So that's it. And it takes about 72 hours to cure. It should be cured to the touch by tomorrow, but you don't really want to use the surface for anything for at least 72 hours. So I'm going to let it sit for 3 days before I start attaching it to the counter in there. But yeah, I like the way it came out. I wasn't looking to make this a granite countertop. Like I said, I'm doing a Tinker Fairy themed bust, so I just wanted to have kind of like an artsy, fantasy kind of look to it. So there you go.